What are those?
Teenagers. Mutants.
Ninjas.
Turtles.
Just think about your retirement.
Hot off the trail of rewatching the previous two Ninja Turtle series, I've been itching for more of these characters since it seems like it's incredibly rare for them to have a bad adaptation. I remember hearing about this animated movie a year ago and thinking just from the clips of Batman saying the Toby meme alone that it would be kinda, kid-friendly and toned down.
It's pizza time.
I mean, he's wearing the blue costume and is voiced by Troy Baker, which just made me think of the Lego Batman stuff or Batman Unlimited. The Turtles themselves haven't been particularly dark or gritty since the 80s cartoon reinvented them from their vengeance-obsessed, self-serious original takes. And I was fine with that, because kids should be able to enjoy these characters just as much as I can as a depressed adult that's desperately clinging to the last vestiges of childhood hope I have as the world repeatedly denies me the only thing I want in life. But then I sat down with a few friends recently and we threw this on expecting a laugh, and then suddenly... Whoa, shit! Jeez, that was a little unexpected, but yeah, that's probably as hard as they'll go. It's only a PG-13 movie, it's not like... Whoa, okay, this movie's a bit out there, and I absolutely dig it. I was caught off guard by just how much I liked this movie. Considering all the other DC AMU movies tend to feel a bit dry and boring to me. Particularly all the Damian Wayne pushing that goes on, or the way everything is kinda like New 52, but worser. God, they ruined Court of Owls so bad. Hey guys, can we, decide which ones of these are canon, and, stick with it? No? Okay, alright. But hey, at least those are out of the picture now. So I went into this one with relatively low expectations. I felt like DC's animation hasn't been as special since Brave and the Bold ended, with some minor exceptions. But this movie coming out in 2019 gave me some hope. As a Batman and Ninja Turtles fan, I feel like this movie represents my favorite parts of both. But best of all, it pulls off the delicate balancing act of representing a more beloved mainstream version of these icons, while also knowing just how much to do a little differently. The story follows four sewer-dwelling action figure salesmen as they hunt down their nemesis, the Shreddalizer, to the streets of Gotham City, New Jersey. Of course, Gotham's badass vigilante protectors would want to keep the peace on their turf, so the two groups fight because, that's how the fucking... crossovers always gotta happen. You gotta have them fight, and then they team up. But then they team up to face off with more ninjas than you can throw a shuriken at. Alright, violence is not a crucial part of Batman or Turtles. It's obvious that both can exist without the blood and gore, and they do that quite often. But you have to admit, it's not something that clashes with either of them if handled well. Seeing this movie go for such a blunt and hard-hitting direction with its action was shocking in the best way. I've always wanted to see more dark and gritty Batman stories with the blue costume. As a kid, I hated this look, but as an adult, I see the charm, and the idea of a more lighthearted Batman being faced with dark subject matter is interesting. Usually when Batman stories take a dark route, they make sure he's dark too to fit with that world. But this one's a more lighthearted take juxtaposed against some pretty gruesome shit. And the TMNT are a franchise that works with a variety of tones. You can do a lighthearted Turtles story just as easily as a dark and gritty one, and both work. That's a story that has reinvention and reiteration built in, so it's hard to truly get them wrong, although it's still possible.
You ain't a ninja?
No, I am Shinobi.
You're a full-fledged mutant hottie.
Do not call me mutant or hottie.
But hey, let's say you didn't get into these characters from the darker takes, and maybe you're a fan of the 80s Turtles or some of the lighter takes on Batman, like Adam West or Brave and the Bold. This one's still got something for you too. I love how the characters are handled in this movie. This is a neutral enough take on the adolescent jujitsu tortoises to feel familiar to fans of any take on them. You can watch this version of them directly after most other interpretations of them and still get a sense that they're the same characters. Their character designs take visual elements from multiple cartoons, the initials on the belt buckles with the 80s show, the expressions and stature of the 2003 cartoon. Donatello looks a bit more like his 2012 series counterpart. But beyond that, they just all have the personality traits that we know and love from these guys. Even Leonardo feels well utilized as the leader and serious one, reining in the antics and ninja skateboarding bullshittery of his three brothers. He's the one who feels most comfortable interacting with Batman because they share a lot of common traits, being they're so disciplined and stoic compared to their respective teams. I know I caught a lot of shit in my last Turtles video for saying Leo tends to be the most boring, but I wanted to clarify that I mean when he's not used well. You either really need to double down on him being the serious leader type and taking care of the others, or you can make him more like one of the guys and let him have fun and be a goofball too. I just felt that the 2003 show didn't lean far enough into either category and ended up with a version of him that just felt like he didn't socialize well with the rest of them and mostly just barked orders at them or got angry at life, which I still somewhat relate to. We have a more contemporary version of Shredder as our main villain, alongside a whole cast of Batman villains for him to shake his head at.
I hate Gotham.
I like how this Shredder is badass enough to beat Batman one-on-one. Granted, he had to kinda cheat to do it and barely made it out of there, but he proved he's no pushover. Though I still think I prefer him as an adorable little spacefaring war criminal. Which reminds me, one other part of the previous TMNT video to follow up on. I found someone who was willing to make me a plushie of Utrom Shredder. Special thanks to Onagako Store on Etsy for giving this to me at a price that didn't break the bank. I love how he turned out, and if you want one, I had two made. So if you want your very own one-of-a-kind Squid Samurai space monster, display him on a shelf, cuddle with him in bed, or use him as a paperweight or a doorstop. Or you can surgically graft him into your stomach cavity for a frighteningly accurate cosplay. Links in the description. As for Senor Batman and his Batfamilia, I appreciate that they allowed Batgirl and Robin to have a part in this story to even out the ratio of the crossover. Without them, it could have easily felt more like Ninja Turtles movie featuring a bit part by Batman, and I appreciate how well they blend the kind of villains and schemes you'd see in a Turtles story with those of a Batman story. Turtles are always going up against outlandish and conceptually insane foes because that's exactly what they are, while Batman is always about preserving order in his city and making sure Gotham doesn't suffer at the hands of ambitious madmen. We get a healthy dose of both of those things simultaneously by taking those Batman villains and then making them outlandish and conceptually insane. More than they already were. Gassing up all these bad guys with mutagen may turn you off a bit, but they confirm in the movie itself this isn't permanent. So why not enjoy the crazy while it lasts? Oh shit, they got Tom Kenny back as Penguin, that's awesome. And lastly, I appreciate what this movie did with Batman. My least favorite take on Batman is the all-powerful, know-it-all demigod vigilante who can do anything by himself and has all the answers all the time. The version of him where he's finishing everyone's sentences for them because he's so smart and acts like he knows better than everyone. I hate that smug bastard. I like a Batman that's capable of being overwhelmed and has to face odds that worry him a little. I also like a Batman that's sometimes second-guessing himself because he needs a little reassurance from his friends. And most importantly, I like a Batman that has friends. I don't like the antisocial, "my mission must be face alone, don't help me" Batman. Thankfully, Batman vs. the Bee Gees goes more of the route I personally enjoy for the character, where he's kind of a grouch, but not unreasonable.
This isn't the time for pizza.
He's willing to accept help when he needs it, and he's not constantly distrustful of every person he meets. Seeing him and Leonardo bond and compare notes on martial arts was a lot of fun. And after the Turtles have proven themselves, he drops the hard-ass act and celebrates a victory with them. I think it's impressive that the characters themselves aren't self-serious grimdark takes, but the villains are. That contradiction really sells you on the difference between them, and I feel like that nuance isn't really seen in a lot of these movies. Usually it's a silly villain against silly heroes, or a dark and gritty villain against sepia-tone Punisher-style heroes. This is the first animated superhero movie I've seen in quite a while where I personally felt like the direct target audience. Batman v TMNT Dawn of Decapitations is made for people who grew up with both of these characters, but don't mind seeing those characters and the story mature a little along with them. It has enough love for the classic and more heartfelt visions of them to speak to your inner kid, but also enough of the raw, violent shit to make your adult self cheer at the TV. Watching this with a group of friends was a blast and got a lot of excited reactions. I recommend you find some nerdy, homebound companions, settle down in a Discord call, and have yourself a movie night with the boys. And now, a word from our sponsor. Redneck Ed, Astro Monster Show is a satirical genre mashup, an arcade-style beat-em-up set in a crazy hand-drawn world where you play through an offbeat story with multiple endings. Rustic Fantastic Development Studio and 101XP Publishing Team are excited to announce a new punchy title. You play as Redneck Ed, a mechanic who gets swept up in intergalactic show business while searching for his missing face. The game features electrifying gameplay with non-stop waves of enemies, arena fighting, upgraded abilities, and a chance to get a behind-the-scenes glimpse at the inner workings of the most sadistic game show in the universe. One that comes packed with an action-packed plot, surrealistic art style, and tons of clever Easter eggs. The game is currently in development, so stay tuned for more updates.